there's no one like me. I'm from their claw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
More of a fight.
Just get Dillian Whyte's dad and Tyson Fury's dad. Get him on and let's have a fight. Everyone would tune into that. Hello and welcome to another round. And I'm here with myself, Mike Thomas, and my co-host Hamza Hanif. Got a lot to unpack today. We're going to go over the Conor Benn fight, obviously an emphatic win by him. We're going to also go over Errol Spence, and then obviously one of the biggest heavyweight clashes of the year is Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte.
Thanks very much for having me on, Mike. Can't wait to discuss this week's boxing. So much to talk about.
So much to talk about. Let's start with Conor Benn. What did you think of the fight?
Absolutely destroyed Chris Van Heerden. Like, it was insane. I was one of the guys who was like, "Oh, he's gonna put up some resistance. He's got like a sad story and everything like that, and he's a tough man." And I'm sure he is a tough man. I'm not taken away from that at all. But Conor Benn just went straight through him. It was insane. He looked so sharp. He looked so good. And do you know what it is? On our last show, we discussed something like some of the haters talking about Conor Benn and basically saying he doesn't know how to box. Like, he doesn't know how to box very well, or he's like limited and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something that Conor Benn did, which absolutely bamboozled Van Heerden and eventually led to him getting knocked out in short order. So if you notice, in the first round, he was throwing nothing but short hoops, right? So Van Heerden was shelling up like this. The punch that hurt him in the midway through the second round was the straight 1-2 down the middle, because he'd got him used to this, got him used to doing this.
Yeah,
and it was really skillful. I don't even know if Conor Benn was conscious of it. I'm sure he was, but it was a brilliant attack, and he was just too sharp.
I think sometimes it's instinctive, and sometimes they're better when they don't really think about it. It just comes instinctively. But yeah, I saw him in the first round. Actually, Chris Van Heerden looked quite game. He was putting in some good. They were both throwing the first round. I thought this is going to be a good fight. I thought this might last a few rounds, but he was so like a machine. He came out second round, just absolutely destroyed him. His output and his work rate is second to none. I think he just works so hard right now. So, you can't match his energy and his stamina. He was on top. He was completely on top, and he showed that he needs to be a level above, he needs to step up next fight, I would say.
It's mad as well because he throws like big shots like all of the time. And I completely agree with you. Van Heerden in the first round, he was like, he looked calm, he looked composed, he was punching with Conor Benn. But It was almost like he just kept throwing with such intensity that eventually Van Heerden started to like kind of sort of almost back away a little bit and sort of doubt himself. It's just such an explosive style that he has.
Yeah, I was watching the interview with Chris Van Heerden after the fight, and he was basically saying, "I don't even know what happened. Like, I thought I was in." He was like, "I thought I was in the fight. I thought I was doing really well, and then next thing I knew, I was sort of like in a haze, and he just sort of like came to his senses, and it was all over." And it was like that quick. And there was one thing he kept saying was, that guy is so quick. He is so fast. I think Conor Benn, a lot of people have been writing him off because he's got no amateur background. He's got zero amateur experience. So he's basically learning on the job. But you got to give him. He's got the minerals. He's got the fucking genetics. His dad's, we all know about Nigel Benn. And the history with him and Eubank. So I think he's got potential to be a great fighter, and he's still only like 25. But yeah, he's got to step up now, and it'd be interesting to see. I'd love who do you want to see him fight next?
You know what it is? That was one thing that slightly disappointed me. Like at the end of the fight, like Amir Khan getting in the ring and stuff like that. That I found that quite disappointing, to be honest, because I was like, there's 3 people in the world who want to see this fight. Eddie Hearn, for some bizarre reason, Amir Khan and Conor Benn, because he knows
Yeah.
it's easy work at this point. It's like,
Oh, I feel
you know
bad
what it
for
is? You what, sorry?
I feel bad for Amir Khan because he was kind of like manipulated into getting into the ring. And he was like, oh, does everyone really want to see this fight? Even he doesn't even want to see this fight.
Bro, nobody wants
Amir
to see
Khan
this
wants
fucking
none
fight.
of it. Amir Khan does
Bro,
not want Conor Benn. He does not want
but you know
one
what it
bit
is?
Conor Benn.
But you know what it is? Conor Benn shouldn't want to fight Amir Khan either.
No.
That's the thing. That's
No.
that's the thing. I mean, listen, Amir Khan won the silver medal at the 2004 Olympics,
Yeah.
right, in Athens. Conor Benn was probably an 8-year-old boy at that time. He was a
exactly.
young boy. Like, he was a boy at that time. It's insanity. And, like, it's not as if he's coming off a win or he even looked good against Kell Brook, who by himself is kind of towards the back end of his career as well. He's only got one left, one big one.
Yeah.
And then it's come on, man. Like, it's nobody wants to see that fight.
I think, you know what it is? I think before the fight he had with Kell Brook, he was thinking of reputation, name, and like the fact that Amir Khan has a huge presence in the United States, like America, he's big. So he's well known. So he's like a big name that he felt like, oh, I can beat this guy. But then after he got like demolished by Kell Brook, it kind of makes it now just like, what's the point? Because of the way he looked in his last fight. So I think that was more like a gimmick that Eddie Hearn just sort of manufactured that situation, and nobody wants to see that fight. Me personally, I wanted to see Ben fight Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner would be great, just because Adrian Broner has got a big personality. He's well known in America. He is kind of like he's a big ego. That build up would be amazing, and I fancy Conor Benn to kind of like take him out. And thing about Adrian Broner is he always brings it. He always comes and he always swings. So it would be a good fight because that would put Conor Benn on the map.
That's one more of those learning fights. It probably should be in America. It shouldn't be in a place where all of his fans are there and everything like that. You know, if he wants to have one more learning fight against somebody who has more experience than him, but ultimately their reflexes are not as sharp as his, the momentum's not with them. I think Adrian Broner's perfect for that. Do you know who I think would be a good fight for him? Keith Thurman.
That'd be a good one.
Thurman's ranked, I think, top 10 with every single governing body across the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's again sort of towards the back end of his career, but he's got that one hitter quitter power as well. You know what I mean? They call him one time for a reason.
Yeah.
And so he's always dangerous. So Conor Benn's got to be switched on. But I think their styles match up quite well as well. And I think that would kind of put him up towards that top 5 in whichever sort of governing body he chose.
I think he's got huge potential, but I think you're right what you're saying the other week about Eddie Hearn building fighters up too quickly. He needs to slow him, make sure the pace is the right pace and that he has the right opponents. Talking of ring rust, did you see Errol Spence, Ugas? Did you catch that fight? Watch it.
Yeah, it was a great fight. It was actually a really great fight. I really, really enjoyed that one. What did you make of Spence's performance?
It was good. It was really good. See, Spence was the clear winner. In my opinion, he was going to win. But Ugas put up a really good fight. You know what annoyed me? The ending annoyed me. It annoyed me because in hindsight, it probably was the right decision, but it did seem a bit like they kept stopping the fight and saying, oh, are you okay? Are you all right to carry on? It annoyed me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'd rather Ugas come out and say to his trainer, look, I think you need to pull me out or something because my eye is out of, I've broken my orbital bone. Instead, they had this whole thing where they kept stopping the fight. The doctor came over and was like looking in his eye and was like trying
the corner should have been proactively, they should have pulled him out of the fight. At the end of the day, you can't fight with a broken face. Like, you just can't. Like, it's one of those things where, every fighter wants, he's got a lot of pride. They've got titles on the line. They've got millions on the line. But that's the corner's job, as well as giving the fighter advice, is to make sure that, that they're safe as well. So his corner should have took it out of the ringside doctor's hands, really.
Let's be honest, like, he was going to win the fight anyway, Errol Spence. And it sets up the fight that everybody wants to see, which is Crawford versus Errol Spence, which I cannot wait for. That's going to be a mega fight. I can't even call it. I would probably err on the side. I would probably say Errol Spence is a slightly bigger man, and I'll probably favor Errol Spence, but you could argue it both ways. I could see Crawford winning it. I could see Errol Spence winning it. I just hope that that fight gets set up, you know, because there's a lot of like negotiations, a lot of stuff that can fall by the wayside with them too. Not so much on Crawford, because Crawford's more of he's like a free agent.
He's left Top Rank and everything like that, hasn't he? So I think he can now sort of be free to negotiate with Errol Spence.
Yeah.
And they both seem like they want it as well.
I don't know if you saw on Errol Spence, but he posted on Instagram. He had this post, and he was like in a grocery store, and he had like a shopping list, and he'd like ticked off like Ugas, and then he had Crawford as his next thing, and his trolley was like full of like all the belts. I love that. I thought that was good. That's what you want to see. That will be huge.
There was a little Twitter exchange as well between him and Oscar De La Hoya. I don't know if you caught that as well.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Where Oscar De La Hoya was like, Errol Spence, all he needs to do is pick up the phone and I can make the fight with Virgil Ortiz Jr. And Errol Spence was like, no, I'm not going to pick up the phone because I only want one fight and and he's not with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So Ronaldo and Messi debate of the welterweights, right? We know there's two guys who are the best in the world at that weight, but we don't know who's going to win between those two. I think his intent and his mind is made up that now is the time.
Yeah. I want to see that. And then I saw like Charlo piping up as well. And Crawford was like, look, once I got rid of Errol Spence, I'm gonna go after his little cheerleader, Charlo, as well. I think that was great. I'd love to see that. I want Charlo to step up and fight someone. Like, stop pretending and fighting like all these no names. It's really frustrating. I wanted to see him step up and fight somebody as well. But yeah, no, that's going to be a mega fight. But guys,
in the world of the elite in the world of the elite welterweights, there's only one fight to make, and it's for all the belts. You know, it's one of those where everybody's split. It's like the Ronaldo, and the fight's been talked about for years. There's been promoters and all networks and all the shit that we hate about boxing involved in this fight. Hopefully now that's all done. And we can just see, whoever you favor, boxing's gonna win on that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And talking about promotion for the fight, what do you think of? Did you watch the Tyson Fury Dillian Whyte press conference?
I actually loved it because I expected that to be a lot more shit talking. Do you know what I mean? I expected like Tyson Fury to be putting it on him like Dillian Whyte and like chatting all this stuff.
Yeah,
like that he does. But I actually love the way that he treated Dillian Whyte because I think it's very easy when you're competing with somebody to be like, I don't like you, fuck you, you're a bum, you're a dosser, whatever, you know what I mean, and kind of disrespect people. But the fact that he showed Dillian Whyte that kind of respect, I think it can only be a good thing. Like Dillian's came up the hard way. And he's done everything asked of him. Maybe not in the promotion of this fight, but in terms of fighting people, he's consistently.
Oh yeah.
He's probably one of the only people who's not a world champion who's consistently fought top 10 fighters. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think Tyson Fury can say that, and I don't think Joshua can say that either. So it's like one of those things where it's like he's consistently fighting hard fights all the time, and he's done everything asked of him. So it's like, he deserves to be respected. He deserves to be treated like a legitimate contender, which he is.
Oh, yeah, he definitely deserves it. And what is it? Something crazy like 1,600 days or something like that he's been waiting to.
Yeah, something crazy.
Stupid. But yeah, he definitely deserves the title shot. He's earned it. I'm a little bit annoyed about the promotion of the fight, though. I just gotta be honest with you, because I'm not like pro Eddie Hearn or pro Frank Warren or anti Frank Warren. I'm just annoyed that over here in America, I feel like they haven't promoted it. It's not big enough. Like, this is a huge fight between, the number one WBC number one ranked, heavyweight boxer in the world against like the number 4. Like, this is a mega fight. I feel like they missed an opportunity with the press conference. The press conference to me was like really respectful. And yeah, Tyson Fury feels like he's in a certain point now where he doesn't have to create any kind of drama, even though his dad tried his best to create some kind of drama with Dean Whyte. But at the same time, I thought, come on, you got to do a bit more. Like, they've not done, like Showtime does like the pre-fight, the movie type videos and stuff. They should have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't do any of that. Dillian Whyte. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Dillian Whyte's been a diva. He's asking for all these demands and he's not showing up." But when you look into the details, apparently it just wasn't set up for him. And Frank Warren hasn't organized anything. He was trying to put him on like a Ryanair flight. And then eventually got
which is like a budget, At least, do you know what it is? If you're gonna take the piss out of somebody, all right, at least give them business class in British Airways. Don't take the piss.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
taking the piss to a beyond level. That is people, it's everyday people that wouldn't like go on Ryanair. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're taking the Michael with that. Like, and then the next day, so he did. Obviously, they sat down, they had a conversation. The next day, he showed up in a private jet, and he turned up and he did the thing. But just the way that Frank Warren's sorted this fight.
Do you know what it is though? I think even the Fury camp have picked up on the lack of promotion because like all the adverts, like in the BT advert, so like no hype needed, and it's like Tyson Fury like screaming that slogan of no hype needed. And I think they've realized it's because for the magnitude of the event and the type of fight and what it means for British boxing anyway. Obviously,
it's not just British boxing though. We're talking about the number 1 ranked boxer, heavyweight boxer. We're talking about number 4. So, like, the best are fighting the best, like, pretty much. You know, and 2 and 3 is Joshua and Usyk.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think Frank Warren's dropped the ball a little bit, like from the undercard to the promotion to the actual treatment of
started on the undercard, mate.
the undercard is like is an absolute nightmare. I don't even think I'm gonna try and watch it. I might watch some highlights.
I'll tell you what, the only person that's worthwhile watching to me is David Adeleye. David Adeleye has been in Tyson Fury's camp. He's been training with him in order to get ready for Dillian Whyte. He's actually quicker than Dillian Whyte. He's got fast in terms of his footwork, at least. David Adelaide got a lot of potential as a heavyweight. He's pretty good. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's got a hell of a punch on him. He's very fast, and he's decent. He's pretty decent level. I will definitely be watching his fight. But in terms of like jobs for the boy, sticking like his brother on, Tommy Fury, sticking on who's that other guy that no one cares about? His mate.
I think the British public have got behind this fight in a big way. Like even the casuals, like so to speak, so the fans who don't tune into every single boxing event like we do. I think even they're buying into this fight because I think Tyson Fury in this country is like a bit of a hero at the moment. He's having like a resurgence in like a big way. Have you seen that he's continued to say that he's going to retire? So he's kind of doubled down on that.
We talked about this the other day. I hate that. It's the thing that I hate him doing. Like, if that's your plan, don't even say it. Don't even say it because you've already got the backup of everybody. Because everybody wants to see you fight for Undisputed. They want you to fight against the winner of Usyk and Joshua. That's what everyone wants. So for you to stop one fight short, I know he doesn't give, I know he doesn't care, but that's gonna really damage him, his reputation, because people are gonna say, "Oh, is he afraid of fighting Usyk? Is he afraid of fighting Joshua? Like, does he actually think he's that good? Is this all a big facade and that he's not actually as good as everyone thinks he is?" And that he was just already knew he was going to be.
I don't know what the reasons are. Do you know what it is though? But like, I think with this ESPN contract that he's had for his last few fights with Wilder and then Dillian Whyte fight, like I think he's just made unbelievable money in comparison to what he was being paid before. Like, I was watching this IFL piece that he did with Coogan, and he was very honest in it, and he said like for the Vladimir Klitschko fight with dazn. Do you know what I mean? For that fight. So he's only really made like big money, like when he's kind of came back, when he's lost all the weight, fought Wilder, and he's made this big storm and comeback. And I think he's just made crazy money, and he's kind of looking at it like it's going to be Wembley, it's going to be 90,000. Carl Froch, you know what I mean? It's going to be 90,000 at Wembley, 94,000 in this particular case. It's not going to really get any bigger than this, and I could just lose everything, because you got to remember as well, Tyson Fury's unbeaten. So it's like if he takes a loss, that's going to question his entire. Do you know what I mean? And I just think he's looking at it like, because I actually believed what he was saying. I didn't the first time, but when he went into a little bit more detail about why he was saying, doubling down on it and saying this is definitely my last fight, I thought, you've boxed for 20 years. You know what I mean? He's been in the boxing game a long time. He's had highs, he's had lows, and I just think he thinks that it can't really get much bigger than this. It can. Yeah,
it can. It can. He can beat Usyk at Wembley.
I think that's what's frustrating for the fans, because it can. It can.
Win undisputed and then sail off in the sunset, and then nobody will have a problem. No one would have a problem. Maybe they might say you should have had a few more defenses. You should have had a few title defenses just to confirm it. But if he walks away after this Dillian Whyte fight, there's going to be questions. There's going to be people.
Crazy. I mean, obviously, listen, he can do whatever he wants. He's earned that right. But I would be severely disappointed, because heavyweight boxing, as a boxing fan, it's never been better. It's like, do you know what I mean? And Tyson Fury is a big part of that landscape.
Yeah, he's a big personality. He's people tune in for him because of his personality as well. Not just the fact that he can now knock people out, as well as showing out amazing boxing skills. He's got everything, and he's also got a huge personality. Yeah, he rubs people up the wrong way, but people will still watch him, whether they hate him or love him. Do you know what I mean? And if he walks away early, in my opinion, it's early, because he's only, what is he, 33? I could understand if he walked away at 35, 36 and said, hey, I'm on the wrong side of 35. I don't want to still be fighting at 40, which a lot of boxers do because they're chasing the money. I understand where he's coming from. I understand the mentality, but you're walking away a fight early, in my opinion.
Would be disappointed if he does follow through on his word. The dangerous thing is, I think that fact that he's doubled down on it means that he might be serious, and it will be sort of bittersweet, and it will be disappointing, because I feel like Tyson Fury, not only has he came into his own as like a celebrity or a star or whatever you want to say, but he's really come into his own as a fighter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of the earlier fights that he had, man, when he was like uppercutting himself in the face and all this other sort of stuff, like he was a slow burner. Like, you know what I mean? It's easy to look back now and say, oh, Tyson Fury was like the greatest fighter ever, but the reality is he wasn't. He was a slow burner. He grew into that personality. He grafted his nuts off, obviously. He obviously had talent in abundance. But what I'm saying is, it's like, make hay while the sun shines, and the sun is shining on Tyson Fury right now. So I think it's gonna be one of those where it would be sad.
Here's the thing, right? I and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan, but what might be the best thing that could probably happen to him is if Dillian Whyte just comes out with a dirty left hook out of nowhere, knocks him out, right, and he loses the fight. Then he can't retire. He's not retiring then. Like, he's so confident that he's going to beat Dillian Whyte that he's already said
he can talk like this.
Yeah, he's already thinking ahead. He's always like, oh yeah, that's my last fight. There's going to be a good send-off, 94,000. I'll knock him out in 6 rounds, which he probably will do. But
at Dillian Whyte, I don't think this fight goes the full 12. I'll be honest with you. But looking at Dillian Whyte, and this is a very different Dillian Whyte to the one that fought AJ. This is the best shape that Dillian Whyte's ever been in. He's got a camp around him, which he didn't have when he fought AJ. I just think this is a very, very dangerous Dillian Whyte that he's coming up against. I don't think Tyson Fury gets it done and looks good doing it. I'll rephrase that. I think he might get it done, but I don't think he looks good doing it. I think he gets hurt I think he gets hurt early in the fight. And I think if Dillian Whyte comes out and doesn't, freeze in front of the crowd or all these other things that could happen, I think he makes it into a really tough, dirty fight.
Yeah, they're writing off Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is, in my opinion, is a better fight than Deontay Wilder. And Dillian Whyte is going to come out. Plus the fact that Dillian Whyte's boxing trainer is Xavier Miller, who I'm really impressed with. He's going to be a great boxing trainer coming up through the ranks. He's I listened to his interview and I was like really impressed. I think he's going to be one to watch. I could see him training like Anthony Joshua further down the line. I don't know how it. Don't write Dillian Whyte off, and I'm hoping it's going to be a 50-50 because right now the bookies are saying, it's a complete whitewash for Tyson Fury. They're all the bookies are saying, you're going to get good odds if you bet on Dillian Whyte to win that fight, but it's not. It's heavyweight boxing. You know what I mean? Anything can happen.
Yeah. To be fair, if you fancy a flutter, Dillian Whyte's definitely worth it. But like, it's one of those where, from a tactical standpoint, you have to favour Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
But I just think the shape that Dillian Whyte's in and the place in his life that he's in, that it wouldn't shock me at all. I wouldn't even see it as like one of the greatest upsets in boxing or anything like that. So it's one of those things where I think it's going to be worth. It's going to be worth putting a bit of money on Dillian Whyte because I think he could get it done. If he does though as well, if it keeps him in the game, then it might not be the worst thing if Dillian Whyte wins.
Yeah, it would make sense. It would make sense for them to have a rematch clause, but it says crazy stuff. And then, like he also, like a few weeks ago, he was saying, "I'm going to do 5 more fights, then I'm going to retire." And he talked about fighting. Yeah. Derek Chisora. He said, I'm going to give Derek Chisora, Dillian Whyte, Anthony Joshua, and Usyk a fight, and then I'm going to retire. That's what he said. So
yeah. That's the thing with him as well. Like, I feel like he's one of those types of people. And Dillian Whyte actually said that at the press conference, that he says he does one thing and then he says one thing and then does another. So it's just the fact that he went out of his way to repeat it several times that he was going to retire. At the press conference, at the open workout, on IFL as well with Coogan. So it's like he's saying it a bit too many times for it just to be one of those things that he's saying to kind of drum up hype.
Well, even in the media workouts, he was in the media workouts, he was boxing southpaw, the whole time. So he's saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to box Dillian Whyte southpaw because Dillian Whyte's never fought a southpaw. Number one, he's never fought a southpaw in his career, or he's barely. And number two, Dillian Whyte's got a very good left hook. So if I fight him southpaw, I'm going to completely shut that down by fighting southpaw because I'm going to be able to, stop him any left hooks that he tries to. We don't know if he's actually going to do it. Do you know what I mean? Because
do you know what it is? It's not really that good of a strategy either, to be honest with you, mate, because he's not a southpaw. So Dillian Whyte may have never fought a southpaw, but Tyson Fury's not a southpaw either.
He's not a southpaw, but he's fought southpaw. I've seen him fight against lesser opponents where I'll just switch stance.
Is he a better southpaw than Dillian Whyte's a better orthodox fighter?
I wouldn't have thought so, mate.
Probably not.
I thought so, yeah. I wouldn't have thought so.
Do you know what I mean?
So that'll be interesting to see if he actually does do that. He does do that because if he's smart, I don't think he should do that unless Dillian Whyte's been severely hurt and he feels comfortable and he's controlling the fight. And then he can just kind of showboat because he likes to showboat. If you notice, when he feels confident, he loves to just sort of put his hands behind his back, just take the mick out of the opponent and stuff.
The only person who was looking for drama was John Fury. Like everybody else was like very calm and respectful and you know what I mean?
John Fury, man, what a ledge. Just the way he was just like looking all angry, staring Dean Whyte down in the
Who do you think would win, Dean Whyte or him?
Dean Whyte's a big guy. I didn't even realize he was that big. I didn't realize he's that big. He's a bit of a shithouse, really. When I saw them standing up, facing up, and I saw Dean Whyte at the back, I was like, geez, this guy's a huge man.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to fight Dillian Whyte. Like, I wouldn't want to fight Dillian Whyte.
He's bigger than Dillian. He's taller than Dillian Whyte. He's a bit of an animal. So yeah, I don't think that's a good idea for a 60+ man. John Fury. Yeah, mate. Big week. I can't wait. We've got a big, massive fight at Tyson Fury. And obviously the following week, we've got Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. That's going to be huge. Nice way to end the month. And yeah, that's been good, mate. And I've enjoyed it. And that's been another episode of Another Round.
The best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and